And there was another incident. So Bhagwan was sitting under the amla tree. He was sitting in a chair and I was sitting at his feet on the floor. And then there was this beautiful, colorful butterfly going round and round and overhead. And there was this amla tree with its several branches. And I just looked at it, it was so extraordinarily beautiful, and I was fascinated. I was just looking up at it, and it was full of life, vitality. And it was moving. Thinking, how beautiful. I even exclaimed loudly, Bhagwan, see Bhagwan, how beautiful it is. He looked up, and as usual, there was no change in his expression. And then suddenly what happened, that butterfly, in its moving so fast, it got hit against one of the branches and fell down. And when it fell down, of course I didn't notice that, and suddenly something drew me to that spot where it was there, and the whole thing, it was crushed, and some liquid had also come out, and within 10 minutes there were ants around it. And that's when I saw, I was thinking, my God, minutes before, it was so full of life and vitality, and it was so beautiful to look at. And minutes after, it was down there, dead and gone. It's such a pathetic sight, and the ants were gathering. And I saw there was no life in that. And then I drew Bhagwan's attention. I said, Bhagwan, just see how beautiful and alive it was, and now see, this is Maya, this is perhaps what his life is all about. And then he said, is that so, Devaki? And then he looked at it for a few seconds and looked away. And then suddenly there was no more that liquid. It must have gone inside. I could not see it, but there was no liquid left. And then there was a flutter of the wings, and within a minute, it just flew away as happily as before. So that was the only time I saw this miracle. He's giving life to a dead being. As usual, I said, Bhagwan, it flew away. It was dead. And now you have given life to this. Devaki. My father would have done this, Devaki. This beggar doesn't know anything. He doesn't even chant Ram Nam anymore. But that was the only 2 times. Though, of course, the miracle of transformation was happening all the time to many, many people. Another time there is a tree there, a champak tree. There was, now there's no more. And it was full of beautiful flowers. And we used to sit at 5 o'clock every day morning. And Bhagwan, the first thing he would ask me is to go and pluck 4 flowers. So every day I was plucking all these flowers near, and all the lower branches were empty soon. And then I found out a few flowers only on top. So I carried a stool, a high stool, and I was climbing up. Suddenly he was behind me. He was always alarmed whenever I attempted something like this. He said, Devaki, Devaki, be careful. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt the tree. Don't hurt yourself was understandable because I was climbing on a high stool. Suddenly he said, don't hurt the tree, Devaki. And somehow the way he said it, it got impressed upon my soul, not just on my mind. I understood that this is a teaching for life, for all who care to listen to. You know, we think hurting other people is ego. Of course, it's ego that hurts other people because you want to get back. But getting hurt is also ego. What is getting hurt? It's our ego. So when he said, don't hurt the tree and don't hurt yourself, I understood that hurting, getting hurt, is as much ego as hurting people. So it's simple, but the way he would say it and the meaning by his own grace would suddenly get into you like fire. You know, he was very unpredictable. You could never put him into any definition. So one day, I was teaching in a college. So I had told so much, I told my students so much about Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and the examinations were nearing, so I said we would all go take his blessings before the examination. And the previous time I had gone to see Yogi Ramsuratkumar, there was a long queue and many people had a mala. So one person would come and put the mala on him, and then he would pat on his back and say, Ram Ram. And then another person would follow with another mala. He would again bend and accept it. As soon it came up till here. And you know, they were all wet. And it was dripping, dripping, dripping. So finally he removed again the 4 of them, and then again another group with 4 other malas. So this scene was repeating itself every few minutes. And then he was saying, Tate, why would they bring these malas? And they are so wet and heavy, and there are so many of them. And then he removed all that. I think it was the 4th time or something, 4 malas. It had come up to this. And 3 people had come there, and with 3 other malas, and the same looking mala. And so then he turned and he saw those 3 people standing outside with the malas ready, very aggressively. And then Bhagwan said, please tell them to go to Arunachaleshwara temple and hand over the malas there. This beggar doesn't want it anymore. And then, you know, they were very hurt, they were very upset, and they got angry. You know, generally people would get angry only. And then they left the place immediately. So when he was declaring again and again, this beggar doesn't like any malas. This beggar had to accept mala just because these people brought them. And you know, it was going on and on and on several times. So the next time when I had planned to take my students, I told them, we have to be very careful, no garlanding him today. And then they said, no, ma'am, we want to make we had so many flower plants there. So the students said, no, we want to spend the whole night awake, singing his name and making a beautiful mala. He may accept it. I said, you know, we must give them the benefit of doubt. So I said, okay, you make it, but don't be too sure. So they made a beautiful mala, and a big one at that. And I could not stop them. And the next day, I gave them severe warning. Don't attempt to do any garlanding, just wait. Only if there is a nod from him, you can do it. Otherwise, don't do it. It doesn't matter, we will take it to Arunachaleshwara. And then that day, when we were all seated there, again the same long queue, and people were coming in with mala, one after the other, and Swami was cheerfully, oh, you have brought a mala, please put it on me. And then the next person, and then again this. And the fourth, oh, this beggar is for this, this beggar is enjoying this mala. And then he would put them down. And again another 4 would come, again the same thing. But this time, you know, he was receiving with such cheer and seemed very happy with the malas, and the same mala, same dripping, everything the same. But he seemed to have changed his mind, and he was so happy. The students got encouraged. So finally one of them I said I had no courage to ask him. So one of them blurted out. He said, Swami, we also have brought him. Oh, you have brought a mala. Please bring it to me. And the students were giving me a stare. What did you say? And what is, oh, you just don't know him. In spite of your coming so often, you don't know anything about him. That is what they were saying. I said, nobody would know anything about him, no matter how many years they would be with him. So you see, he would always do just the opposite, which means you cannot say that this is Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He would behave in any way and mostly unpredictably.